I think you're going to like 11.4 as it's actually, I feel, a bit easier than the addition and subtraction of integers. We are going to be multiplying integers. So when multiplying integers with the same sign, you have a certain set of rules. When you are multiplying integers with a different sign, you have a separate set. As long as you can keep them straight, I think you're going to find that 11.4 is pretty simple. So multiplying integers with the same sign, if the product of the two integers with the same sign is, or the product of the two integers with the same sign is positive. So a couple of words we want to keep in mind here. So product, of course, that is if they are, sorry, I'm going to grab a different pen here. So the product, of course, is multiplication. So the product of two integers with the same sign will be positive. Okay, so, and this, of course, is if they have the same sign. So if they are both positive, your product will be positive. If they are both negative, the product will be positive. So as long as the two integers have the same sign, the product will be positive. So here we've got a couple of examples. Positive 2 times a positive 3 is, of course, going to give you a positive 6. And a negative 2 times a negative 3, as they both have the same sign, is also a positive 6. This is not the first time you will hear it. It may not even be the first time you hear it. Negative times a negative equals a positive. So let's move on to multiplying integers with different signs. So the product of two integers with different signs is negative. So the product of two integers with different signs is negative. So in this case, we've got two examples here. We have a positive 2 times a negative 3. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. Apply the negative. Here we've got a negative 2 times a positive 3. 2 times 3 is 6. And again, apply the negative. So if you've got two integers with different signs, you are going to end up with a negative. All right, so let's just jump in and look at some examples of each of these. So our first one is going to be looking at a negative 5 times a negative 6. So this is going to be like our first example in which we are multiplying integers with the same sign. So just do your simple multiplication of 5 times 6 first, and you get 30, and then you are going to look at the signs and apply the necessary sign. They are both the same sign of negative, so you end up with a positive 30. Nothing else to do there. Here we've got a positive 9 times a negative 7. Just do the multiplication. 9 times 7 is 63. Then go back and look. Are they the same sign? No, they are opposite signs. They are different, so you apply a negative. And looking at one more of those examples, negative 6 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. Go back and look at the signs. They are different, so once again, you apply the negative. Now let's take a trip down memory lane and remind ourselves of what to do when we see exponents. Okay, so remember, an exponent tells us that this base number is multiplied by itself a certain number of times. In this case, this negative 2 squared, when we expand it out, is going to be written as negative 2 times negative 2. Now we have a case just like we did up above in example number 1, where you have two negatives being multiplied by each other. 2 times 2 is 4. There are two negatives, they each have the same sign. The answer can be left as a positive 4. Number 5, we've got another exponent. We have a negative 8 squared. So when we expand this out, it is a negative 8 times a negative 8. 8 times 8 is 64. They both have the same sign, so we once again leave it as a positive 64. And then what happens when you have the case where it's not just squared, but it is cubed. Okay, so going back to our lesson from 11.3, you're simply going to write out the entire equation and then solve it one step at a time. So this is going to be a multi-step equation. So when we write this out, you end up with a -5 times a -5 times a -5. We're going to do one step at a time. 5 times 5 is 25. They both have the same sign, so leave it a positive. Rewrite the rest of the equation. 25 times 5 is 125. They have different signs, so you apply the negative there. So -5 cubed, -5 times -5 times -5, will be a -125. All right, let's look at some word problems here. So we've got a football jersey is marked down $10 each week for 3 weeks. Find the total change in the price of the jersey. So here you just got to read the problem and pick up on the key terms. So it's marked down. If something is marked down, that means that it's going down in price. Down is typically represented by your negative number. And so it's going down $10 each week for 3 weeks. So you've got 3 weeks, and during each of those weeks, the price is going down $10. To find the total change in the price of a jersey, 3 times 10 is 30. It's a different sign, so -30. So the total price change of that jersey is -$30. And we've got a manatee population decreases by 15 manatees each year for 3 years. Find the total change in the manatee population. So once again, you're looking for those keywords. To decrease is going to imply a negative. It's decreasing by 15 each year for 3 years. So it's a multiplication problem because we've got the same group size. 3 years times the decrease of 15 manatees each year. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do 15 times 3 is 45. And then they have different signs. So you've got -45, and being as this is a word problem, we want to make sure that we label it. So multiplication of integers, it's pretty straightforward. You simply have to remember the 2 rules. When multiplying 2 integers with the same sign, the answer will be a positive. When multiplying integers with different signs, the answer will be a negative.